everybody. Raul here for Bass Musician Magazine, and today we have the extraordinary honor of pleasure of chatting with someone who actually needs no introduction, but I will anyway. Bassist, educator, vocalist, producer, composer, wife, and mom, Nik West. Yay! The crowd goes wild. Nik, it's so great to have this opportunity to chat. We go back, oh my gosh, I was looking, you were on our cover, just over a decade ago, if you can believe that. I mean,
oh my God.
2012.
My God.
And then we've been catching up in between when you were at She Rocks, or there was an album going on, a new release. And we did a quick catch up when you were actually in Georgia. I remember we had kind of the worst internet issues ever. But hey, it was all good because we're just happy to talk to you. And here we are now, 2022. So much has happened. Let's kind of pick up from 2017 a little bit vaguely. Tell us a little bit, how are you doing, Nik?
Well, I'm doing great. I mean, as great as you can be with the whole pandemic that happened to the world. But I will say that when you introduced me as educator. That's something that I guess I wasn't back in 2017. That just kind of happened in 2020. I decided to record and create an entire course for beginner bassists all the way up to an intermediate bassist. And it kind of just took off like beyond my wildest dreams. So I'm an educator now. I teach the bass too. So
I always find that even when you're trying to share information with other people, it even helps you introspectively go, okay, how do I do this? Because some things just seem to happen naturally.
Yeah.
But if you have to explain it to someone else and break it down, you kind of go, oh, okay, I'm seeing what's going on here.
Exactly. And just approaching it differently. So before I became this singer, bassist, musician, in high school, I used to tutor calculus. So I was always just kind of like figuring out a way to teach what seemed like a hard concept to people that never had learned about the concept at all. So I kind of applied that, and I just applied it to the bass, and my students, they love it. They love the platform. They love that I break it down into small bite-sized chunks. And I'm one of those people that have ADD. So it's kind of like, okay, this video's got to be 2 minutes, 2 minutes, get what they need to get out of it, and they can move on to the next. So I think I've kind of mastered holding the attention of the listener or the watcher of the videos.
Very nice. Well, and I'm sure the receptiveness of the audience when it comes to the bass teachings is much better than those people that you were trying to teach calculus to. That's always a hard one. Where I can see a lot of glassy-eyed slack jaw. Like, what? What do you mean? Why do I need to know this?
Yes, because of course, calculus, it's kind of like, oh, this is a required course versus, y'all want to learn the bass.
Yeah.
It's like an elective. So people have fun doing it.
Absolutely. And how do people find this course?
BassDominationCourse.com. You can sign up and just all the information is there for you.
Wow, that is superb. Well, and again, I'm sure there's a lot of interesting tidbits, and for the whole gamut of people, it's also great that, you've had so much music out, and I'm sure there's a generous helping of funk in there as well, isn't there?
Definitely, and I try to keep it equal, but the funk just comes out of me. So of course we've got some heavy layers of funk in the course as well, of course.
That is good to know, because I think a lot of people, when they hear somebody that is most of the kind of music they've heard coming from a specific player, they may think that that's all they're going to get in a course. It's going to be focused on that. So that universal characteristic is great.
Yes. And they seem to love it. So they love it. I love it.
Excellent. So as we're moving on, you had an album released in 2020, Moody.
Yes.
Of course, pandemic releases. And the universal thing I've heard from so many players is that things got released and then there couldn't be a tour to support the release. And so a lot of them are kind of recapitulating and going, well, we're going to do a re-release when we can get out and support it. Any plans to that effect, or what's in the works there?
So for me, I think of my album Moody as what I was wanting to write about and talk about and express in that moment at that time. I'm off to the next thing now. I'm off to everything I want to express and put out there now, everything that I'm feeling and inspired by now. So although, yes, we've got an amazing album, Moody, when we tour that, we're going to tour that, but we're also going to tour the new stuff that I'm creating and releasing as we go along. Okay. So for it's a matter of, okay, we've released it. We're going to do a tour. Oh, the tour didn't happen. We're going to release some more stuff, and we're going to combine it all, and we're going to show them everything. So that's where I'm at now.
I understand you've got a new single coming out, Cotton Candy. Tell us.
I do. Cotton Candy, and it's very, very funk. I guess you can think if you could hear like Funkadelic meets Prince meets Nik West, kind of sexy funk. We'll just call it sexy funk.
Oh, nice.
That'll be coming out. I actually put a snippet out of just kind of when I was a couple years ago when I was kind of working on this song, Cotton Candy. I just put a snippet out. I'm like, I wonder if people even like this side of me. Mm-hmm. I put it out there and people were like, yo, what is that song? I mean, it's like 2 seconds long. What is that song? So then I decided, okay, let me finish the song. People seem to like it. I'll complete it. So that is Cotton Candy. So some of you may have heard little snippets of it or a snippet of it somewhere in my career, but now we're putting out the whole shebang.
Very, very nice. And is that going to be part of a bigger album, I'm guessing, as time goes by?
Oh, yes, of course. Yes.
Excellent. And it always is a good thing to talk about, too, updating on your sound, your gear. Because I see those Fenders up front. Every purple instrument always seems to have Nik West's name on it.
Every purple instrument always seems to find its way in my hands, on my doorstep or something. So people know I'm into the purple. I love purple and here for it. But speaking of purple, I got a new toy, and you know about the toy. It's an Ouroboros 5-string bass, and it sounds amazing. Headless bass. It sounds amazing. It's purple and gold. It's super lightweight, and I was getting it set up by my setup guy, and he says, you know what, sometimes I see these really pretty basses come through, but they don't sound the best. This bass, though, I was pleasantly surprised. We were both pleasantly surprised. It sounded really good.
And you're joining the headless crowd, which, again, so many people have talked about the advantage, especially for touring, that if a bass is going to break, it's usually at the neck and headstock.
Yeah.
So headless, it cuts down on weight. And they've kind of figured out, from what I understand, nice balance. Exactly.
Yeah. Because they always kind of like tip, of course, where the weight is. But this one is pretty good. I'm pretty excited. To play it live.
Very nice. Any other components, specific strings on it or anything?
So, okay, every time I get a new bass, I always like to put the things that I love on that bass, because I need to know exactly how it's going to sound with me and my tone and what it is that I like to hear. So I put on Dunlop Super Brights, which I love. Obvious reasons. I love to play funk music. So I like to do the slap thing, the thump thing, as well as finger tone. And I love clarity. So I like to hear the highs, but I also like to hear really meaty lows as well. And those strings are really good for that.
Nice. And because I was watching the educational stuff as well, still have your Fender, your Kala. Any other changes to the lineup that is giving you your sound?
You know what? You already know. My Fenders, they have been tried and true. And I'm a believer in, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Mm-hmm. So my lineup is pretty much the same, I think, from what you see online and probably around the last time that we spoke. Same lineup, couple new basses. Like I said, I'm really excited about this new one to play it live and see how I feel on stage with it.
Well, and in the introduction, one of the things that I'd mentioned one of your new titles, because again, you're adapting to educator. But the title of mom, again, congratulations. There's baby Lenny.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit now. You have something that you're juggling, yet another thing that so many bassists don't have to even think about: motherhood and musicianship. How is that going?
I hesitated about just having kids in general, just because I didn't see any women that were mothers, I mean, just that I knew of, that were doing what I do.
Yeah.
So I hesitated and I said, oh my God, like if I ever decided to have kids, maybe my career might be over. You know, it's a lot of professional women that have careers that are demanding or that are really taxing. You know, I have lots of energy. I'm touring and, you know, traveling a lot. Hesitate about having kids just because society kind of makes us feel like our career may be over. So when I got pregnant, my husband and I decided to just let everybody know about it. Okay, we're pregnant, and just continue what it is that I love doing. I love playing the bass. I love singing, and I continued throughout my pregnancy. Now my baby is waiting for me to pick up the bass. It's almost as if, you know, when he sees me pick up the bass, he just starts kicking and just, it's like, oh, he knows what this is. Like he knows, he feels the vibrations. He knows. I really, as a mother, I just incorporate him into what I do. I mean, I'm a musician. That's my career. It's who I am. And he just kind of falls into the fold of who his mommy is.
Again, we're very excited for you. And this is such another facet of the journey of life. And I'm so glad that it's something that you can also enjoy. Again, we're constantly quoting, there's a quote from the show Monk. It's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
And all of us that have been parents know exactly. And it's not meant with anything bad, but you know, there are these additional challenges. When my son was a toddler, I think he was about 1, I got chicken pox and of course brought it home. And so now, you know, it's like, oh, I'm giving my baby chicken pox. And, you know, it's like, all of these challenges. And then we had to put socks on his hands so he wouldn't scratch. And it was just, you know, it was like, oh. But, you know, it is a part of life.
I feel you on that because same thing happened, as you know, COVID. And my husband got COVID. The baby got sick. So the baby got like, oh, you know, little coughs. And we're like, you know, and let's test him and see what's going on. So he had COVID. So, you know, he was really lethargic and stuff for a little while. But I had COVID while I was pregnant with him and everything. So for me, this wasn't my first rodeo. And he got over it relatively quickly. So I completely feel you. You know, we are resilient and that's life. That's life.
I tell you. Well, and looking ahead, and I know a lot is in flux in the world. Again, we're still at the kind of the tail end of the pandemic, but depending where you are, things are either opening up or they're tightening down again. What plans do you have for the future? Kind of roughly, because obviously nothing is set in stone.
Right. Nothing is set in stone. And I've always kind of been a fly by the seat of my pants person anyway. So I'm always creating. So that's all I can do is just continue to create, continue to explore my passion, and just, you know what? I call them God nudges. I get these God nudges, right? So before I did the course, people kept DMing me. Hey, can I learn from you? Where can I learn to play the bass from you? I really want to just all these things. So I told myself, okay, you know what? I'm going to record some videos. I'm going to create a whole course. And so I started doing it while I was on tour before the pandemic started. And then it was kind of like I was 80% done. And then this pandemic hit. And it was like, wow, that was the God nudge, with these people just kind of nudging me every time I would forget and be like, oh, I don't think it'll work. I don't think it's really worth it. I would get another nudge. So that was really a blessing that it all happened that way. And now the current students that I have, they're just like, yo, you're this girl that you taught us as beginners how to play the bass. The way that you slap, like we need that whole thing. So, and there's a lot of advanced players that exclusively kind of do the finger style, just they're like, we want to learn from you. Can you teach us how to slap like you slap? And I'm like, got you. That's a God nudge that's coming soon too. So that's what I'm gonna be working on. I'm gonna be working on just more courses like that because this was so successful. People tend to really love it. And like I said, representation matters. So I have 80% of the people that are in my course, they're female. So they're females, and I'm like, more females playing the bass? That's amazing. Some of them have joined bands, big bands now. So a lot of them are finding success, and I'm just going to keep creating. Gonna create. I have songs that I'm releasing. We're going on another tour. We have tour dates already scheduled starting in March of 2023. So we're on our way. We're busy.
Very nice. Well, and it is so important in the position that you'll find yourself also both as a mom, as a musician, but as a role model, because that is, people need to see I can do that. And one of my favorite up and coming musicians, I believe she's 10 now. She's in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And she's playing bass, and her dad is a professional guitar player, and he's helping her with the ropes. She was at her first NAMM show this last summer, and her stuff is just taking off, And again, groundbreakers like yourself kind of show the way, you pave the way so they can look and go, I want to do that. That's for me. So that's super important. And if people want to know where to find all of this information, because I'm sure by now they're probably going, wow, these two are just going at this. It's all a swirl. Where's the best place to look?
Well, NikWestBass.com. NikWestBass.com. You can find out about new releases I've got merch out there. I've got my course over there. Just anything that you want to know, check out my website. And then, of course, social media, at Nik West on TikTok, at Nik West Bass on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You know where to find me. Just type in Nik West and I come up everywhere.
There you go. Well, Nik, we're so glad that we could finally get a chance to chat. Thank you for taking time out of such a busy schedule. Folks, the incomparable Nik West, you're seeing here on Bass Musician Magazine.
Thank you. And I just wanted to just really quick say that I really feel strongly about that representation matters thing. You said the 10-year-old girl she's playing, she's probably looking up to lots of female bass players. She's seeing bass players and she's like, oh, I can do that, just like you said. But it's also very important for her to know that when she gets of age and she decides that she wants to have a family, that she shouldn't have to hesitate.
Absolutely.
Continue her career. She can be a bass player. She can dominate the bass, and she can still be a great mother. So I feel strongly about that, and I'm really excited about women in music in the future.
Absolutely, Nik. You are the trailblazer. So again, thank you so much, folks. Amazing Nik West.
Thank you.